Yo, yo, yo. What's good? What's good? It's Stormy B Man, and I am back. Welcoming you to Nerds on Culture with Stormy B Man for this Monday, April 29th, 2024. And this is number 83 in the series of Nerds on Culture as we explore the film series of The Man with No Name, classic Western character played by Clint Eastwood from the 60s. It's a character that he really cut his teeth in the film industry, a most popular character who carried a big gun, a stogie, a hat, a poncho, with very few words. But when he spoke, he meant business. And the foes that he encountered found out that he meant business. There were three films by Clint Eastwood, beginning with A Fistful of Dollars, which came in 1964, followed up by For a Few Dollars More in 1965, and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly in 1966. This character was created by Sergio Leone, and he went by many aliases: the Stranger, the Hunter, the Bounty Killer, the Good, the Americano, Mr. Sudden Death, Nameless, No Name, and Blondie. Yeah. So we're going to talk a little bit about the Man with No Name series this evening and hope that you all are able to chime in and give, if you have recollections of these films, this character played magnificently by Clint Eastwood. I think this might be the most popular Western character of all time, even outside of the Django. Yeah. So with no further ado, I want to bring my brother and partner in crime and co-host of the show in for this conversation. We got Drew Titan in the building, back fresh off of vacation. What's going on, bro?
I'm just happy to see you and me back in stride again. What it do, man? I'm here. Vacation was beautiful. The water was blue. The sky was blue. And everything is everything. And I'm back and got it off my chest. And we making chess moves. And we here. Wonderful. To answer the question, I feel and sound wonderful. And everything's wonderful.
Well, the one thing that can always bring us into a good place is when we do this show, we go back and grab things that are meaningful, that are nostalgic, that have had an impact and impression on our lives, on our culture. And this one is one I'm most proud to say that my dad introduced me to Clint Eastwood. When I was a little boy, I used to call him Clint. I couldn't say Clint real good. Clint Eastwood. Yeah. But hey man, he was cool. You know what I mean? And like I said, a man of few words. He didn't say a lot. They didn't have a lot of dialogue written for him, but more like physical action. And the physical action wasn't about fighting or anything. It was like how he respond to what's going on around him and things of that nature. I remember in Fistful of Dollars when he walked past the coffin maker in the town, and he said, 3 coffins. And he walked down there to the other end where those guys, he had been made aware about who they are because they had guys on each side of the town that were bad guys. So he walked down there and when he had first came to town and he was on his horse, they shot at the ground around his horse and made his horse, take off and everything. So he came back and the guys was looking at him. What you want? And he said, I know you guys, playing around and everything, and but my mule, he just don't understand. He said, but if you apologize, like I know you're going to, he said everything will be. And they looked at him like, man, what?
What's wrong with this dude?
Yeah. Man, he lit those dudes up. But I love the line. He said, now if you apologize, like I know you're going to, that set the movie right in motion right there, man.
He was badass, man, wasn't it?
On them. It was like 6 of them, After he gunned them down, he went back past the coffin maker and said, my fault. 5 coffins.
He lit them up, didn't he? Man,
Clint Eastwood, that's my boy, man.
He's
I don't care if he's playing this.
That reminds me of there was a guy that used to do these paintings, and he used to do these paintings of famous actors in their best characters. Like I'm sure everyone's seen the James Dean poster where they're sitting in a diner and it's James Dean and it's Elvis Presley and all of those heartthrobs from
Marilyn Monroe,
and they all sitting in that diner. Well, I saw a similar painting at a Western bar. In that bar was Clint Eastwood as this character. Clint Eastwood sitting there looking mean, with a toothpick, and Charles Bronson was sitting across from him. And you remember the guy from Branded?
Yep.
He was in the bar with his shirt open, just sitting down, looking like, man, like. Remember, because he was shamed, they ripped his stripes off.
Yeah.
His shirt stripped off, and he was looking down like, dang. And 2 other guys there, but it was an awesome poster. And they paid homage to like the Western stuff.
Right.
Man, I even think the dude that played Davy Crockett in the movie from back then, he was in the post. It was like an awesome picture. It was awesome. But that's just the Clint Eastwood that they caught was him playing this character. And I was looking at it, I said, man, he got to be the baddest mofo in this picture right here, man. He said, my bad.
Remember, I read how many names that this character was known by in the films, because he didn't really have a name and he never told anybody his name. And that's why through the trilogy, it's considered the Man with No Name series, because no one ever really knew who he was. And it was so on point, because that whole thing, the stranger, you know what I mean? And in one of the films, they kind of run together, because I haven't watched them in a while, and I didn't watch them in preparation for this show because I just wanted to be spontaneous and go off my memory. But
right.
These guys, they are always messing with him. It's like, except for in Fistful of Dollars, when he comes into town, they messed with him when he was on his mule, and they shot at a mule and made him ride off all wild. But after he found out that it was 2 factions at opposite ends of the town,
right,
they were against each other, he decided to go out there and become a hired gun for both sides.
Yo, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question as far as the storytelling. Was it on point, or was it ahead of its time? Because, that's before my time. I watched it later in life, of course. Was it on point, or was it ahead of its time?
You know what's interesting? That's a good question. But I think I'll answer it like this. These films were made when men were at their most macho. And the way stuff went down in these films is how men behaved back in those days. You had men who were righteous. You had men who didn't want to get involved. You had men who were always starting mess.
Yeah.
You had cowards.
Yeah.
And you had people who were backbiters and betrayers, you know, that looking to make a quick buck at the expense of somebody else. And all of that played out in these stories. And so as far as it being ahead of its time, I think it was just spot on with playing out the characters of men. And, you know, women took a back seat in the films. But one thing about Clint's character was that he always respected the women. But if it was one of those loosey-goosey women that, you know, run off at the mouth and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, man.
He would always put her in her place.
Put her in place. Yeah.
A roll in the hay. You know, he'd take her in the barn or something. And then she'll be talking about, you dirty scumbag. But next thing you know, she making them something to eat. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
it was a different time. You see, you hear something like that now. If you made a movie from scratch and put the characters like that, the establishment would lose its mind, man.
Oh man, let me tell you something. They lost their mind when they made Brokeback Mountain, huh? Because that wasn't no damn Western, man.
They killed the Westerns.
That film right there, man, it made people was like, what are you trying to do with my genre? You know what I'm saying? I mean, you had John Wayne, who didn't care nothing for people that wasn't white. You know what I'm saying? And he was a hero and everything. And guys would sit around the campfire eating their beans out the can and stuff. And Brokeback Mountain just gave you a whole different spin on men out in the woods together. I mean, come on, man.
Man, yo, listen, let me ask you a question, man. Did they not trick? Because, you know, when they aired the advertisement, I don't recall even, maybe I wasn't paying attention, but I don't recall them advertising what it was.
It was the crying game of Westerns. That's what it was. Boy. Absolutely. But get this, though, and I'm proud to say, I ain't never seen the movie. I haven't. I'm aware of it, and I know what went down, and that's all that made me say, you know what? I'll pass.
I didn't know what it was, but thank God people said what it was enough. Yeah. I never was intrigued to go see it. But there was enough noise about it after its first week's release. It was like, yo, did you know what that is? Did you see it? I said, no. I said, I hear about Brokeback Mountain. I just see two cowboys. What happened? They get stuck out there and they had to eat each other's arms. They was like, no, they were eating each other, all right. I was like, what? It's a love story. I said, they found some chicks up there. They said, no, they found each other. Pass. I'm good.
Dude.
I'm good.
Back to the man with no name.
The real man. The real man. Back to the real man.
So, this is the thing. Not only was he good with his gun, but he had to be some type of fugitive and stuff on the run, because he kept, you know, he would go, he was a drifter from town to town and stuff like that. That poncho, when he go to flip it back, it's on. And listen, even Westerns that are modern, you know, like Tombstone and all of that, those are great classics and everything. But you can't beat Clint Eastwood in a gunfight where when he flips that poncho back and his 6-shooter don't raise no higher than his rib cage, okay? And he be like,
and they all falling down. They missing him, but he knocking them over, right? My gosh, man. My gosh, that is hilarious. He brings it right here, and he just turned it. Bang, bang, bang. I got 6 shots, and he got everybody. He got 6 shots, 8 villains, everybody dead.
But
they
that
falling out windows.
That first one, man, A Fistful of Dollars.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, man, this one right here, I think it kind of like, it gave a new outlook on the Western, because it was directly adapted from Kurosawa's Yojimbo, and it was actually brought in to a lawsuit by the producers of Yojimbo, which starred Toshiro Mifune, and they were quiet. The lead character, they were quiet, unassuming, eccentric strangers with a strong but unorthodox sense of justice, and that's how they were played out. This film, A Fistful of Dollars, he was called Joe by the Undertaker. You know, the man he told to build the coffins and everything.
Right.
What I liked about this film, him going against those warring factions in the in that town, dude, what can we say? And let it be known that, in case for a little bit of trivia, if anybody doesn't know this, they were called spaghetti westerns because they were made by Italian producers and everything, and writers, and they were actually filmed with no sound, and then they dubbed the voices in later. They you know, a lot like the kung fu films or Japanese films of the time. And they could rapidly release the films with dubbed audio in different regions of the world. Like in Italy, they'll play something, you know, in France, they'll play it, over in Europe somewhere, and then in the US. And another famous trope from these films is the whistling music tune.
Yeah.
How about that, man? And each one had their own specific whistling tune. But I love the fact that it you know, whoever the guy was that whistled those tunes for these 3 films,
nice.
He was good with it, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I still to this day I can't whistle, and
I'm okay. I'm not great.
He was whistling the hell out of those tunes for this one.
Help me out. What year did this come out?
64. Fistful of Dollars was the first. It came out in 64.
Right, because I was watching some westerns with my dad. We got snowed in, and the family was just inside, so we just, you know, Turner Classic Movies or whatever, and they were playing some westerns. And another movie came out, I think in 70, 71, 72, called Fistful of Dynamite. And I like that.
Duck You Sucker.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
That starred James Coburn.
James Coburn, yep. That was a good film. It was
made by the same company that produced these. You know, they were trying to get back into the vein of that, but a little bit too much time had passed because Eastwood had gone ahead and moved on to Dirty Harry, you know, and then he was also famously known for Play Misty for Me. That was a very popular film that he had filmed and directed. A lot of people don't realize this, but Clint Eastwood, dude, he's a hell of a director, man. Really big time. But I loved his strong male characters. I loved them because I didn't see him as some white dude. I just saw him as a badass dude. You know what I mean?
Right.
I appreciate he not playing up the whole thing that I'm white, you know, that kind of thing.
Right.
With the exception of what they wrote in the first Dirty Harry film with the bank robbers. Do you remember that at the
I do.
opening of the film?
The opening of the film. That Go Ahead Make My Day. That's where it came from.
Yeah. And I know what you were thinking, punk. Did he fire 6 shots or 5? Well, to tell you the truth, in all this chaos, I might have even forgotten myself. But being that this is a 350 Magnum and it can blow your head clean off, you got to ask yourself, do you feel lucky, punk?
And brother said, wait, I gotta know.
No.
I'm like, what? Come on, brother. I gotta know. I was like, come on, bro. What do you mean you gotta know?
And do you know, a couple of films later, that dude came back and playing his partner in.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, ain't that something? That was him.
Yeah, he came back and was playing his partner.
Oh,
So,
man.
you know. But man, let me tell you, these spaghetti westerns, man, they were all right, man. They were all right. And the Kung Fu films took a lot from these films, because where these guys use guns in Kung Fu movies, they use hand and feet, you know. But it was the theme and the heroic guy, the hero of the film. And a lot of times the hero was an anti-hero. He didn't really want to be heroic. He just ended up doing heroic stuff, even if it was at the expense of trying to save his own butt, you know.
Right.
He stumbled into a heroic situation. But yeah, man, what are some other aspects of the Man with No Name trilogy that you think about when you think of these films?
You know, when I was younger watching it, I didn't realize it was the same damn character.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that, because you know why? It's funny you mentioned the Shaw Brothers, the Golden Harvest films, because all those they were different characters, but it was the same actors. You know what I mean? It was the same actors, different characters, and that's all I thought they were doing. I thought it was like, okay, he's a badass Western, cowboy, a loner, but he's playing a different man this time. I didn't know that these films was linked until I got like older. But what I do remember, you're right. I was conscious at a young age, and of course my parents were, but I noticed that they enjoyed these westerns. It wasn't there wasn't an element of race in this thing. You never worried about that. It was like you said, it was that shade of gray.
yes.
It was that shade of gray. He wasn't a bad guy. He was too gringy and grimy to look like a good guy. But he ended up being in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing for the right set of people.
Right.
Whether it be saving the town, saving a woman. What was one of the movies? Wasn't there a child involved to some degree? I forget. I don't recall. But this character is actually, they need a Hall of Fame for this. If they have a Hall of Fame for characters, this character right here, and he didn't really have a name, that's the epic part. And by the way, shout out to Lee Van Cleef, man. Because he fit perfect into these films, bro. He fit perfect, man. He did the damn thing, man. He did the damn thing. But
and he wasn't a nice guy at all.
No, he was a jerk.
You remember how the film opened and he came to dude's house? And,
oh yeah.
He sat down and started eating his dinner and everything. And he was like, he was sitting there, he was just looking at everybody. He was like, just came in, no words.
Came in there, sat down, and ate the dang food, man. I was like, oh, this guy's a jerk. What a jerk. Goodness.
It was a thing that they don't do very well today in movies. with the lack of dialogue, like
Yeah.
getting actors to convey something on the screen through their actions, their expressions, body language. This is a lost art because, again, you will get someone to convey what they're doing. And just like with the horror film, and you know, you and I talked about this with the horror films. If they don't show you everything bad, you will conjure up in your own mind what is really bad. So like my interpretation of what the monster does and yours may be two different things. But as they do that cutaway shot, whatever I'm imagining and whatever you're imagining, though they may be different, the message is still gotten across to us that something bad happened. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's the same with this. And what I liked about this particular film, when they were getting ready to have the shootouts and stuff, the camera would always catch that glance and that glare in their eyes. You remember that?
Yeah.
And the camera would cut back and forth, and the guy is cutting his eyes, and he's cutting his eyes at him. Lee Van Cleef is cutting his eyes at Clint Eastwood. I mean, it was real solid, man, and it was well done, well edited. You know, I just enjoy these films. I have them on VHS, I have them on DVD, and I have them on Blu-ray. And they're just classics from the genre to me, man. Salute to what's that? Justin's.
What's his name?
Justin. I don't know.
Statham get cash. Okay, salute to you, good brother.
He says the man with no name also inspired Jonah Hex in DC Comics.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
I can see it. I can see it.
But thank you for the super chat there, Justin. These films were very impressionable. Again, like I said, a lot of the Hong Kong films took some of the lead in these films. In fact, if you think about Bruce Lee's Way of the Dragon, when he had that final showdown with Chuck Norris in the Roman Colosseum, he took elements of these Westerns and put that in there, where these two men, gladiators getting ready to fight in the Colosseum, how they were cutting their eyes at each other, they were warming up before battle. They had a little cat in there watching them, and the cat was to provide a little break in the action. Because Kung Fu films back in that time, before Bruce popped on the scene, they would have guys fighting for 10, 15 minutes at a time. What he would do is have pauses in the action, and then he had like that cat right there, where you capture the cat and he's giving his reaction to what's going on. And that gives the audience a chance to catch their breath, gives them a chance to exhale and say, you know what? This is something different that we're witnessing here. Just like in the gunfight showdowns of these spaghetti westerns. Similar thing, where they build that suspense to a crescendo, and then you have a blast off of a gunfight, but it might be over prematurely, but not, or somebody get away, and then they got to come back and face each other at another time. You know, it's like that whole thing. It was really well done. And like I said, those type of tropes for these films, it left a lot for like the producers of today. They forget about those small elements, but that's what made these classics.
Man, that was awesome. You got me thinking about the camera cuts in Return of the Dragon. They showed the little kitten playing with the rock. Then they all stretch and warm up. And then when Bruce screamed, they turned to the cat, and then the cat screamed. That was well done, actually.
Yeah,
that was well done how they did that.
Yeah. In fact, is when they were warming up, when they showed Bruce kicking and punching and stretching, and they showed the cat stretching. Remember?
Yes.
He put that hump in his back, and the cat put the hump in his back. All of that kind of stuff. That was well done. And see, think about it. Back then in a kung fu film, that wasn't done before he came on the scene. They would just get down to business and be fighting. And like I said, they'll be fighting for long periods of time. There's a film called, and not to get off of what we're talking about, but just as an example of what I'm talking, there's a film called Bruce D-Day at Macau, also known as Little Superman. This film stars a guy who's been in the early 70 films. He was a choreographer. He starred in a lot of films on his own. His name is Liang Xiaolong. Liang Xiaolong has a fight at the end of Little Superman, and that fight, I swear, is about 20 minutes long.
Damn.
And they go from they're fighting somewhere in Europe, somewhere. That's the backdrop. They start off in this one area and they fight, and then he chases the guy, and they find a new location and they start fighting some more, and then they go to another location. But listen, that fight goes on for about 20 minutes. When the fight is finally done, he defeats the bad guy, right? And the bad guy basically falls out. He's like, oh, and he falls out. But then the hero, Liang Xiaolong, he dies too, because it's like they fought to the death, literally.
Damn.
So either he had a heart attack or he died from the injuries of the fight. But I told you, they fought for like 20 minutes. So what was cool was that him and the guy died at the end of the fight. But they fought for forever in that film. And that was a different type of thing, because usually you see the hero win and he walks off into the sunset, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever. But no, he died from the injuries of the fight or a heart attack, either one. And that it was because I was watching the documentary on kung fu films, and the narrator of the documentary, he talked about that fight scene in the film, and he was like, "We don't know if the guys died from, exhaustion, or if they died from the injuries of their battle." But it was like, this is one of the longest fight scenes ever. And the name of the documentary is called Top Fighter. It's a very good documentary that talks about martial art films from the 70s and 80s. But you have a real appreciation for what Bruce was doing when you saw stuff like that, because it just went on forever.
Yeah.
You guys, excuse me, my allergies have been acting up with this weather here today. My nose has been running all day. I've been sneezing all day.
It's insane out here. We reached 85 today.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was a nice day outside. Got some work done. Oh, yeah.
So the third film in this trilogy, which is one of the most classics of all time, the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Yeah.
This one here with Lee Van Cleef returns in this one. But then they got Eli Wallach, man. Eli Wallach in this film right here, bro. He plays the cruddiest POS that you could ever meet in the West, man. This dude was something else, man. And he was the one calling Clint Eastwood's character Blondie. Blondie! He was calling him. And he was just a scumbag, bro. He was wanted in so many towns for, I think they said $2,500 bounty on his head or something, dead or alive. And Lee Van Cleef was trying to collect.
He tried. Yeah.
But it was, hey, the thing about these three guys, they were all swindling each other, you know, over whatever they were going after. And it was funny because Eli Wallach's character was like, he was the real bad guy. Lee Van Cleef was the scumbag. And Clint Eastwood was the sly fox. You didn't really know what his objectives were. And against each other, you know, they had this standoff, you know, at the end of the film where they were all sitting out there. I love this movie, man. I love it. It's a classic. But, you know, what they were also doing was like pretending like, you know, they were taking each other in for bounties. And, you know, when you turn them in and the sheriff say, okay, they'll be hung by the neck until dead or something. That's how they said it. The sheriff. And then they go in there and they put the guy on the horse and they put the rope around his neck. And then Clint Eastwood, when he took Eli Wallach's character into town for arrest, the whole point of it was they would free each other, you know.
Yeah.
Only go up higher, you know. So when they escaped,
they were jerking these guys around, man.
Yeah.
Jerking them off.
But then there was a time when Clint brought Eli Wallach's character in and he was supposed to shoot him down, but he missed. He missed the shot at the rope. And Eli was hanging. He had that look on his face, Drew. Like, oh shit.
You mother. He missed.
That was hilarious, man. But that's what made this film a classic. Because it didn't always play out like you think it might. Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh. I didn't see this one in a long time, but you know, I remember that scene.
Yeah.
Because I remember how the damn sound effects.
Yeah.
And he missed. And he was like, oh, my dad was like, oh shoot.
And at the end, when Clint had it, like with Eli, he said, "This ain't no joke. I want you to get up there and put your head in that noose." And he was like, "Blondie, come on, Blondie." He was like, "Nope, get up there." He had that shotgun on him, so Eli put the noose around his neck, and he had him standing on that rock or something like that. And it was real small or whatever, so he was standing on that pike, and he, you know, if he one wrong move, he gonna slip off and hang himself, right? Mm-hmm. So Clint got on the horse and was riding away. He was like, "Blondie, come on back, Blondie." He was like, "You know, you're a son of a bitch, you know." And then when he got real far away, he was like, "Blondie, you a son of a," and then they played that. He said, so he was like way off into the sunset, right? With the sun behind him. And he turned around and he fired the rifle and shot the rope down and freed him one last time. But that lets you know that wasn't really a total mistake that he made when he shot down and it didn't, he missed. He did that to teach him a lesson, right?
Let him know.
But he shot him down at the end of the movie, and he survived. But dude, I'm telling you,
man, if y'all have not seen this movie, man, this man, gems in this, man, gems in this. What was the? This might be a little off, but what was the budget on these films, and as opposed to what it made? Because these things are classic. I think more than likely by now they've made more money by way of time than they probably did in the theater with the replay value. And I don't know how much points that Clint Eastwood gets because they replay a lot of his these Turner movies, Turner classic movies and stuff. They love playing some Clint Eastwoods, man.
Yeah. Salute to the brother Eric Jordan out there in the Cash App, man. Hit me up in the Cash App. He says, salute, Sensei. We appreciate you, Eric Jordan. Appreciate you much, man. Thank you for the donation. Yeah, these Westerns, man. I grew up on them. My dad was a Western lover, man. That's what's up. That's what's up.
Awesome stuff, man. Some great stuff.
Did your pops like Westerns?
He loved them. He loved them. Like I was saying earlier, I remember one day in particular, I was at his house and it was like one of those things. We had just did some shopping and there was some snow coming and I didn't feel like driving home. So we got snowed in for a bit. So, you know, we just made some food and he loved Turner Classic Movies. And there was also a Western station where they play those things. And Dad, what's the name of it? Because during and before and after the commercial, there's somebody narrating like important facts about the film.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we watched it wasn't The Good and the Bad and the Ugly. It was the first film. The Man with No Name.
Yeah.
And you know, they play. I wasn't like a John Wayne guy, but you know, when Clint Eastwood, they played a Western with I watched. They played Fistful of Dynamite, but before that, they played Fistful of Dollars. That's what they did.
Yeah, Fistful of Dollars.
Films. And then they played. I forgot the one with Charles Bronson in it. I forgot the name of that one, but my dad loved Westerns, man. And like I said, you know,
Charles Bronson played, was that Clam Bake, something like that?
I can't think of the name. But I know it was a Western. And I remember watching that. I'm like, you know, I'm so used to, because by the time I got to know Charles Bronson, he was already doing Death Wish.
Right.
You know what I mean? Which is something we need to discuss.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have to get around to that too, man.
My gosh, it's brutal, man. Death Wish was brutal.
The first one was.
That was bad, man.
Yeah.
That was bad. That was hard to watch.
And you know what I just watched this past weekend? Because I told you I was polishing up on that so we could get around to it. The Born Losers.
Oh.
Which is the first Billy Jack film.
That was the prequel to Billy Jack?
Yeah, that's the first film.
You know, I never watched all of that.
Dude, that film is very good. And you ought to see the stuff that is covered in that film. This motorcycle gang is terrorizing this town. And they're graping the women and girls and all kinds of stuff, bro. And Billy Jack, who is he's supposed to be half Indian.
Right.
Former like Green Beret or something, but lives
Some
out.
military guy, yeah.
Yeah, he lives out in a reservation or something, and he's off the grid or whatever. But he comes into town to purchase goods and stuff like that. But this motorcycle gang is just terrorizing people, and he finds himself intertwined in that situation, and it goes from there. But that film, and you know what's funny? I had heard of it, but never really watched it. I saw Billy Jack, because Billy Jack was the second film, very popular. He had a lot more fight scenes in that because the Kung Fu and karate craze had taken off in the early 70s. But Born Losers is a great film for the time that it was made. I was very impressed with that. Sorry that I hadn't watched it in all these years.
I never knew that was a prequel for a long time.
Yeah.
I never knew that. And sidebar. Wasn't there an era in the 70s where there was like a biker film era?
Oh yeah, it's like there was a time when in the U.S. biker gangs and biker clubs
Yeah.
were very popular. That was a
Mhm.
huge part of the culture.
Yeah, that was
Even more than
they were,
people who drove and had hot rods. Bikers were more.
mm, mm. Michael Ray in the chat, he said that the writer of Death Wish had a fixation with grape. You know, I wonder because let me tell you, those scenes in the 70s when they were, doing that to those women, that was hard for me to watch, man.
Yeah.
That was hard for me to, I mean, they were brutal, man.
And they have scenes in this film, dude. Born Losers. There's like several scenes where they are punching women in the face.
Oh my gosh, bro.
They are like really, but you know what though? It's like it speaks of the time this country was in. And I'm not saying I'm glorifying the violence against women whatsoever. No, I'm not. And I don't want anyone to misinterpret what I'm saying. But they filmed that stuff like that because it was like those characters, they wanted you to see that they were villainous,
Yeah, they wanted you to hate them.
They wanted, they hit Billy Jack in the head with a crowbar twice in this film. So a lot was happening, man. A lot.
Yeah, we definitely got to review the death. I mean, Charles Bronson as a whole, he was one of those tough guys, Hollywood tough guys.
Right.
Definitely. So yeah, in his break, I don't want to say. I think how I got to know him by the time I saw him in westerns later. But how I got to, don't ask me how, but somehow I think it might have been my older cousins. I ended up in a movie theater watching Death Wish at a very young age, and I'm like, oh my God, man! If Charles don't get this dude. I mean, you rooted for Charles Bronson in those movies. And we're not even going to talk about, man, I don't even want to veer off because there's a whole bunch of, it's just brutal, man. But yeah, man, but I saw Charles Bronson. The question was, did my dad love Westerns? The answer is yes, he did. And we sat in the house and we ate chili and a bunch of other stuff we ain't supposed to be eating. And we just watched Westerns all day, and I loved it. And there was a bunch of snow outside, and we just ate food and took a nap. Woke up, watched another Western, and I remember watching Fistful of Dollars. And I remember he said 3 caskets. Went down there and smoked those dudes. He said correction 5. I was like, oh. I remember that, man. That was dope, man. And I think my dad said he saw some of these in the movies. It was the 60s.
Yeah.
Saw some of them in the movies. Yeah. Man. Goodness, man. Yeah, I think I'm going to do a Western marathon again. Yeah, I'm going to do it again, man. But Clint Eastwood, man. Wasn't he like the man's man? These movies, man. Oh, goodness.
Now, he did this film called High Plains Drifter.
Mm-hmm.
Now, High Plains Drifter was an interesting film. It opens up with this guy. He was kind of like a lawman, and he was whipped to death by these I guess you could call them, they were the bad guys,
Mm-hmm.
But they went to jail and they were convicted. So they spent a certain amount of time in jail because they supposedly killed this lawman. And they knew that the town knew that they were getting out, the bad guys. But this stranger comes to town. And a lot of people don't know who he is or whatever. But he comes to town and he kind of asserts himself as like a not so nice guy, and that's played by Clint Eastwood. But they get word that the bad guys are returning, and they coming to take vengeance on the town because the town helped convict them when they beat the lawmen to death or whatever, right? But they enlist the services of Clint Eastwood, who's reluctant to help them, of course.
Yeah.
And because they just consider him a savage because he raped a woman there and all of that. He did stuff. So long story short, he told them he'll help them. He's like, but you got to do it my way. What I say goes. So he had them paint the town red. All of the barns and shops and shacks and everything in the town were painted red. And he took a sign and put it out a couple of miles out from the town, the road that the bad guys would have to wait to ride in on. Basically, it was a sign that was a message. Welcome to hell. And, you know, everything painted red, right?
Damn.
So, listen, those bad guys come back to town. They terrorize everybody. They do stuff. Long story short, Clint Eastwood helps get them guys up out of there, right? But guess what? It turns out that he was the lawman that they thought that they beat to death.
Wow. That was a dun, dun, dun. That was that moment.
Yep.
Oh, man.
He came back to get their asses. And he did. And when because they said that they had buried the lawman in an unmarked grave. Apparently he wasn't dead.
Right.
But at the end of the film, when they said that they were going to mark the lawman's grave because Clint Eastwood got revenge for him or whatever, and they were like, he before he left the town, the person that was marking the grave, and they was making a headstone or whatever.
Right.
It was like, we don't know your name. And he was like, yes, you do. And he looked at the headstone of the thing for the unmarked, for the lawman, and he rolled off.
He was going to help them the whole time. Dude,
it was the way it played out though. If you've never seen the movie, it's excellent.
Oh man, that's awesome.
High Plains Drifter.
Did you like
Clint? He know what he be doing, man. He know what he be doing. Because when I saw that, I saw it when I was young and stuff, but I got it on DVD and I watched it like maybe about 8 months ago or something. I watched it and I hadn't watched it in many years, but I was like, this is a damn good Western, boy. It's like, see, I love a story like that because it's like you didn't see that coming. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because when they were whipping the lawman to death, they were using actual whips. They were whipping him. They were whipping him with whips, cow whips.
Did you damn, what was that movie? I saw it in the movies. Did you like Quick and the Dead?
Yeah, that was okay. That's the one with Sharon Stone is in there with the guys. Yeah,
that was pretty good. That was pretty good. I tolerated it. It wasn't like I didn't feel too overwhelmed by woman power in that. I didn't feel, and I appreciated the story. It was pretty good, man. But man, we got to shout Clint Eastwood out, bro. That guy has the Westerns alone. I mean, he has a body of work that is just ridiculous, man. But I see why when he started doing other work, they would say directed by Clint Eastwood, like letting you know, because the man really knows what he's doing behind that film. He really knows what he's doing, man. He really does, man. And damn, I wish I had a few more days of vacation because now I want to watch these movies, man. No, you always do this to me. Now I want to watch these movies.
You gotta pull them up and put them to the side. When you have some time, just go through them. That's what I did yesterday. I pulled out that Natural Born Killers. I mean, not natural. The Born Losers. The Born Losers. Because I recently bought that Billy Jack film pack, and I was glad to have sat down and watched that. Because again, I like older films, you know, like films from the late 60s, early 70s, because it takes you back to a time when our society was a little bit different from political beliefs, cultural existence, and the way of living and things of that nature. And in Born Losers, there's a girl. She's a central character in the film. She's actually the female lead. She's riding a motorcycle in the film, and she's very young. I would take it that young actress that's playing that role, she's probably got to be somewhere between 18 to 23 years old. And she's riding a motorcycle and everything. She's doing her own little stunts. It's pretty well done. And I don't even remember her in anything. She kind of puts you in the mind of a young Liza Minnelli, but that's not Liza. But she had a short haircut like Liza, and scantily dressed. It's amazing that so many of the girls in that film were dressed the way they were, because they were like basically wearing bikinis and stuff. It's like,
man, that's how old she be around now?
Well, in the movie, she said they actually asked her how old she was, because she was supposed to be a college student waiting for her dad to come home to take her out or something. And she said she was born in 1945. So that would have made her like 25 or so in the movie. But I think she was younger than that. But anyway, so now that lady that played that role, she's got to be at least in her 70s or early 80s. Yeah.
Long time ago, man. So what would you rate in order? If you had to put the Clint Eastwood Western movies in order, what would you be your top 5 in order?
Well, I don't want to do a top 5 because we were featuring these 3 tonight. But out of these 3, I think A Fistful of Dollars is number 1. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is number 2. And For a Few Dollars More is number 3. But I think the most popular is The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Yeah.
I think that's the most popular one. What I like about For a Few Dollars More is Lee Van Cleef's character in that film, because he's the perfect offset of Clint Eastwood for that film, because it's like, I remember he shot, what was that? One of them was shooting the other's hat up the road, because he had shot his hat off his head, and every time he went to go down and pick it up, it was like, pew, and he would shoot it down, and it'd go another 20 feet. And he had to walk and try to pick it up again. Shoot it. I forget which one. It was either Clint shooting the hat off of Lee Van Cleef, or Lee Van Cleef shooting the hat off of Clint. But dude, that they were great together in that film. They were.
Man, they must have had a ball filming that, man.
They had to.
They must have had a ball filming that.
They had to.
Yeah, Lee Van Cleef's character was a total jerk, man.
But all of his other films, his other Westerns, it's hard to measure them, because each and every one of them have something different. I mean, look at The Unforgiven. Oh my God, with Gene Hackman in there playing Little Bill.
Oh yeah.
Wood. And
oh man, I forgot about that.
They killed his friend. You know, Morgan Freeman was playing Clint's friend in there. Yeah. And Little Bill killed his friend. And boy, he was upset after that when they killed his friend. And you know, listen, in that film, Morgan Freeman is playing a native. He was married to an Indian woman.
Wow.
But he lived out on the range. He was an Indian. Well, Aborigine.
Aborigine, yeah.
But he was one of Clint's best friends. Now, when he went back to the bar and he was gunning them guys down, taking revenge for his boy, and he shot and killed one of them guys. And one of them said, "You just shot and killed an unarmed man." Clint was like, "Well, he should have armed himself."
Yo.
He didn't mess around, man. He didn't mess around.
Man. Oh, man.
He said he should have armed himself.
That is funny as hell, man. Should have armed himself. Oh, man. I didn't know he was playing well, he was married to a native. Yeah. I forgot all about that. I need to go rewatch all this stuff. Everything is very vague, but I didn't even think of that. Goodness.
There's a Japanese version of The Unforgiven made with what that guy Ken Watanabe, the one who was in the Godzilla film, Let Them Fight. Remember him?
Yeah.
He's playing the Clint Eastwood role in the Japanese version of The Unforgiven. I got that on DVD too.
What is he, like a samurai?
Yeah, it's like it's a Western kind of a deal, but he's a samurai in there. But he's playing the Clint Eastwood film. They just made it Japanese style.
Right.
But when did that come out? Unforgiven is awesome, huh?
When did that come out?
Ooh, in the mid 2000s, I think. It was like roughly way before Ken showed up in that Godzilla film.
Yeah.
Because by the time they brought him into that Godzilla film, he was a huge star in Japan. So
yeah, he was already established. Yes.
Right. That's when they started bringing him over, you know, when they reached that pinnacle like that. So yeah, that's what's up with that. But a great film Unforgiven is. And Clint did, like I said, if you were trying to measure up his Westerns, he's done so many. Someone mentioned Pale Rider here. Pale Rider was great. The Outlaw Josie Wales. What else? Man, there's so many.
Like I said, I wasn't really too. Oh, we got a super chat.
Yeah,
I wasn't really a John Wayne guy.
Yeah, salute to A1 HZ out there in the super chat. He says, "This is a drop in the collection plate." Thank you so much, brother. Appreciate that.
You're good, brother.
Appreciate that.
I wasn't really a John Wayne kind of guy. I think the reason why I'm gonna tell you why I wasn't a John Wayne guy, and it sounds kind of crazy. By the time I was older, I watched a lot of cartoons, and there was a lot of like goofy characters that spoofed John Wayne. And then, you know, when you find out that he really talked like that, it was comical to me. So I didn't really, I was like, man, that was for real? He really talked like that? It's like, oh gosh. But
yeah,
that guy had
Mr. I ain't gonna hit you, the hell I won't.
I never watched it. Was this movie's good though?
You know what? It was like he was the big badass white dude, you know, it's like talk shit, you know, can't nobody match him and all of that. But if he was to cross trails with Clint Eastwood, he
died. It was a more. I'm assuming Clint's movies were more. First of all, there was a a gap in between their films. I think John Wayne was more the 50s, right?
Right. Yeah, he was earlier, you know.
Right. So by the time Clint came around, things were a little more brutal, a little more serious.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's yeah. So yeah, I figured that. My dad wasn't a John Wayne guy either. I wasn't really.
John Wayne was hard to like, man. I mean, it took a certain American class that liked him, you know.
Right.
But some of these other Western stars, like the Yul Brenners and those guys,
Yeah.
you know, Robert Redford and James, Steve McQueen, those guys. When they played in the Westerns, Kirk Douglas, people liked them. They liked the guys, you know. But John Wayne was kind of like, you know,
something about him, right? He was in a quiet taste.
Exactly.
He was in a quiet taste. I got it, man. I'm definitely gonna I'm gonna binge watch Clint Eastwood. Those three films, because I haven't seen them.
And watch them in order. Fistful of Dollars, For a Few Dollars More, then Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, because they were made in that sequence, but you get to see why that character was who he was and everything. And then, like I said, in the second film, when they bring Lee Van Cleef in, he's the perfect antithesis for Clint's character, because he's so cold, you know. He's so cold, and he's just he's a killer. Like I said, in For a Few Dollars More, when he comes into that guy's house and just sits down and starts eating his dinner and stuff, he's just looking at him as he's spooning them, whatever they're always eating something, you know, spooning it up. But he was just looking at old boy, just looking at him.
Man,
like he come there to kill old boy.
I'm gonna tell you, and I'm looking at your backdrop. He was very instrumental in a lot of the things that we see today. There's a video game that came out called Red Dead Revolver. Then the follow-up to that was Red Dead Redemption. You know, that character Red had a lot of qualities from Clint Eastwood's character. It was very, very, very well done, man. But this you always do this, Stormy. Now you be making me go watch this stuff, man. I don't even think of watching this. Now I want to watch it. Now I want to watch it. It's some good
I want to go. I want to go watch it. I might go watch because the last one I watched recently was the Fistful. I might go watch For a Few Dollars More now, because I want to see if that's the one where old boy is shooting old boy's hat up the road. I think it's Clint Eastwood shooting Lee Van Cleef's hat, but I could be wrong. It's one shooting the other's hat. That scene was funny, because he was just letting them know I could do whatever I want to do. He shot old boy's hat off his head, then he started shooting it down the road. I was like, he had to go get it.
That is so disrespectful.
Right?
Oh my gosh, that is funny as hell, man. He shot his head up the road. Oh my goodness, man. Fun stuff, man. Fun stuff. Shout out to Clint Eastwood, man.
Absolutely. So we could go ahead and wrap it up, man. I know you got your show coming up, but this at least give you a breather so you can get yourself going. But final thoughts.
I recommend, if you've never seen any of these movies, please watch them. I know I binge watched them at some point, and it's time to binge watch it again, man. Westerns, you might not think you like it, but then you're sitting down and watching it, you get hooked. You do. And Clint Eastwood is a man's man in these films, total badass man. So, you know, once again, great nostalgia, man. This is great, man. Salute to you. This is some dope stuff. And You know, my dad might have these on DVD now that I think about it. So I'm gonna go look in his collection. This is some great stuff, man. So absolutely. Till next week.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And this is something, you know, I've been trying to wait and get this on here, but finally got it on here. I'm gonna share it with you guys tonight.
We offer the best grooming products for you. Yes, all natural and handcrafted too. We wanna help be your swagger, style, class, and luxury. Make our products tailor-made for you with high quality. Yeah. So get in style with the black, yeah. Grooming company. To give you swagger, style, class, and luxury. In luxury, yeah. The black gentleman, yeah. Company. To give you swagger, style, class, and luxury. In luxury, yeah.
Located at www.theblackgent.com.
Yeah, salute to the brother. Bring you the truth, man. Finally got that to me so I can show some love by showing the ad for the Black Gentleman Grooming Company. This has been another episode of Nerds on Culture, the Man with No Name series. I want to say shout out to the mighty LDBC. Appreciate everybody that came out to hit that like button tonight, the cash apps, and the super chats. Much love to everybody. We'll be back next week with another one. Take your energy over to the Painful Excellence podcast coming up in just a moment. And we will catch you guys on the next one. Peace.